First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Okay, it's all come down to this, believe it or not. Here we are in the final, 36 hours of election time. By tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, it'll be all over. Commercial after commercial after commercial. Are you ready for that to be gone?
Oh, most certainly.
I guess. Here we are on a Monday morning. We'll start a little differently this morning because I want to bring in Brandon Williams early.
Bright and early.
The congressman.
He's here and bright and early and stopping in the Mohawk Valley here today.
So, good morning. Good morning. So, for anyone, if anybody's questioning, we have all brand new digital studios, and the congressman, I'm sure, can maybe relate to this. So, when they used to use manual steering for the nuclear submarines. All of a sudden, the government decides we're going digital.
Yeah.
Well, our computers completely froze this morning, and we could do nothing. We could not turn on a microphone. But here we are now. Good morning.
Good morning. You want to hear a fun fact?
I would love to hear that.
So Admiral Rickover, father of the nuclear Navy, resisted digital anything back in the engine room precisely for these reasons.
Yeah.
And everything else is classified, but analog he was 100% committed to it. And so we had to learn all of the circuits, the LC circuits, all
right.
Any of you nerds out there. So,
which, by the way, kind of makes sense. That is just, the human mind easily can make sense of that. The digital world is a completely different world.
But you can't troubleshoot the digital world. You can't look at a schematic and, you just got to replace boards.
Right.
Sorry, we're now troubleshooting missile systems.
Listen, I'm already had my fill this morning, I'll tell you.
It's been
nice recovery, guys.
Yes, quite a morning. All right, well, here we are down to the final stretch. What do you think? It'll be over by it should be over by Wednesday morning.
Well, I tell you, it is so much money has been spent, and I'm just looking forward to being able to go out on a date with my wife again and not be on TV. That would be so refreshing.
Yeah. What do they say? Is it $18 million or something? Yeah. $30 million? Was it 18, Andrew?
18.
I read this morning. Just spent, and towards the end, a lot of this is, most of this, probably all of this is out of your hands. But it was one jab at another, and I'm not sure, I'll ask you this as a question. I'm not sure Mannion is as extreme as the commercials say. I don't feel you're as extreme as the commercials say. Somewhere there's probably an in-between your thoughts.
Well, I think what I find interesting is that I have said the same thing both in the primary 2 years ago and consistently for the last 2 years. My opponent does say very different things in the primary than he says here in the general election.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And, is it as ugly as all the commercials say? I mean, let's hope not. But
right.
The truth is that I've seen now over 2 cycles that they run as liberals in the Democratic primary, and then their switch is flipped, and they run as Republicans for the last 4 weeks, and I find that pretty disingenuous.
You feel you're consistent.
I am consistent. If you look at my statements, they're all the same. I don't have a political director. I kind of speak out of my heart. So,
yeah. On the issues, the most important issues you feel right now that voters are looking at, we really paid attention to only a couple, but there's a lot more. There's an awful lot more that would face the 22nd congressional list.
Well, I know this. I did 12 in-person town halls in the last 18 months. My opponent did 0. With his constituents. And so, I heard firsthand, people are concerned about the border. They're concerned about crime. Inflation is number one. And, the high cost of everything, working families are falling farther and farther behind. That's what's on people's minds. And, of course, that's not what's reflected in the fear-mongering of the commercials. But those are the top issues.
Micron is obviously very important to all of us, even here in this district with everything we're doing with SUNY Poly, and then all the way down to Malta down the Albany region. When the speaker was in town, he said that he felt that we'd be taking a look at possibly reversing the thing that actually has supported Micron. Where do you stand on that? And I know he kind of walked that back a little bit.
He walked it back in real time. He really did mishear the question. But, I confronted him right there on the spot, and I said, look, I'm going to bug you today that this is critically important for us. And I think what's more important is that he issued a statement afterwards committing to support Micron, in its development here. And that to me is a huge win. It looks like we're heading to majority control in the House, majority control in the Senate, and control of the White House. I got to tell you, we have to have the local champion that project. And I extracted that out of the speaker, and he was happy to do it. And so I think we just secured the future of Micron. And the first step is getting this NEPA reform, permitting reform, so we can break ground. That is the critical step. And so
I almost feel as if that was a blessing.
It actually was, Bill. I mean, it's again, I don't have talking points. I just know that that's critical. For example, I brought back, helped secure a $7.5 million Navy contract for Wolfspeed. And, with electric vehicles kind of going back and forth, looking for revenue streams for Wolfspeed is critical. And so, we celebrated that same day as the tornado that hit Rome, as we were there celebrating that.
It does seem that obviously they closed one of their plants in North Carolina and decided to put more investment here in Marcy. That is a positive for us. It is positive, and you got to give credit where it's due, and I think Chuck Schumer really is the one that drove them to that decision. And I play a supporting role in things like that. But it's not politically advantageous for me to compliment Chuck Schumer, really, is who helped drive that. Yeah. Can I ask one of the issues that I know the Post Standard has hit you on is residency and not living in the district. What are your plans? Are you planning to continue to? And I know you have a beautiful property there, and it's in the district. It is in the district. It's in the district. I live in Auburn. I think one of the funny things that came out of this is my opponent, of course, sits in the state senate, and he voted for gerrymandering twice. Right. One time was so egregious that the courts threw it out. The second time, they cut Oneida County in half. And, I've represented all of Oneida County for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I think it's all to make Utica a suburb of Syracuse, which is happening. It doesn't make sense. It historically doesn't make sense. And the best way, well, first of all, I've had an office in Utica for the last 2 years. I'll continue to have an office in Utica so that we have direct representation here. But I live in Auburn. I don't live in Syracuse. And there's no reason for Syracuse to dominate and exclude everywhere else. One way to keep Oneida County unified is that, that Elise Stefanik and I represent Oneida County together, and we work together to make sure we're supporting Rome and continue to support, everything happening at Griffiths, and that we continue to support all of Oneida County. What will it be like, let's say, and forgive me for this, let's say Mannion wins. Now you have Mannion going head-to-head with Elise Stefanik. Utica, Rome. I mean, this is just they split us up is just terrible. I'm afraid to be orphaned. You got on the other side, you got Claudia Tenney representing the north half of Cayuga County, and I would represent Auburn, where I live, in the southern part of Cayuga County. But all of that came out of Albany. In fact, in one of our debates, John Mannion wanted me to thank him for drawing me back into the lines, as if he has all that power and that he wrote these lines strictly to benefit himself. And I got to tell you, it's just an abuse of power, and it's not going to work. We're already seeing that the early voting numbers are just spectacular for my reelection, and just the momentum is just tremendous. So, at least in Oneida County, Republicans are outpacing Democrats in early votes. The early votes, Well, this is how I elected. If you remember 2 years ago, it was Oneida County that carried me,
and I've certainly never forgotten that.
So they tweaked the district, but it was slightly tweaked, not in your favor, and you feel you're about to overcome that.
We do. I'm often labeled as the most vulnerable Republican member of Congress in this reelection, and it sure doesn't feel that way on the ground, when we go around. But I always tell people, you be good at something, and I'm number one. So
yeah, all right. What do you want? What is your closing argument? What do you want people to know about Brandon Williams that they might not know?
Well, I'm the only military veteran in the race. I come from the technology industry. I'm still a political outsider. So if you wind the clock, in fact, if you watch the press conference where I confront the Speaker of the House, the third most powerful person in the United States, in real time to advocate for Central New York, it's the only reason I'm here. I never planned on having a political career. And, we are at a inflection point in this region for our development, for our recovery. And I really believe I'm the best person to represent that, both as my technology background, my military service, as well as my business service or business career. And so I think that positions me well. This is a historic election. And there is stark contrast. Imagine a year from now where we have a southern border that's secure, that prices have stabilized, and in fact that the price of gasoline is, less than $2.50 a gallon like it was 4 years ago, because we're doing the right things to lead the country and not just doing the right things to satisfy the liberals in New York City. We got to push back against this, and I think this is an important step.
Are you worried about if Trump wins? Are you worried about Ukraine?
Ukraine, there's a huge new dynamic there. The North Koreans have shipped in over 200,000 new soldiers. Russia has an endless supply of money and people, particularly if he's drawing from North Korea. South Korea is offering to send troops. This really could spiral out of control very quickly and could draw in NATO, actual forces in NATO. And remember that Russia is a nuclear power. So, I am hopeful that there can be, peace, negotiated peace. And because Ukraine, the population of Ukraine cannot hold out forever. And,
does Ukraine give up territory?
Well, they already have, right? They gave up the Crimean Peninsula entirely. That was under Obama, and it looks like under Biden they're going to, potentially lose the Donbas region. But I'm not there to negotiate the settlement. I just think that if you look at it objectively from a military point of view, Ukraine cannot go on forever. It does not have the same population base to draw young men from. Right. And there's literally been, I think, almost 1 million deaths on both sides cumulatively. It's tragic.
It's terrible, yeah.
I want to just ask in the debate, the question about January 6th came up. The headline that came out of it, which basically I'll summarize, saying that you felt that it was more political than anything else. The reality is, I think we can all agree it was an egregious moment for this country. I'd like your description of that. And then, are you nervous about, no matter which way this election ends up, it's so close. We're focusing on one side. I think both sides, I worry about, no matter who wins, what the end result will be. Will we have another January 6th? Starting with your assessment of that terrible day.
Well, yeah, but look, the events of 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago on January 6th were reprehensible, and that kind of rioting and action and violence and vandalism is no play system. And I won't tolerate it. I mean, in fact, as you know, on July 24th of this year, there was pro-Hamas riots while Netanyahu was speaking, and they defaced the monuments there at Union Station, the train station in Washington, D.C. They burned the American flags. They assaulted police officers. And that night, I led a group of congressmen, including 4 Navy SEALs, former Navy SEALs, to replace those flags, to raise the American flag back where it belonged. So standing up to all that kind of violence and recklessness is important for us. And I would just emphasize, I don't think you confront it. I don't think you go out and go toe to toe with the crazy protesters.
Yeah.
If that's, any day, I think you stand up and you say, look, this isn't right. And we're going to do the things in our community to make it right. And so, I've already demonstrated that. I'm not concerned. We have a very robust system, and we have a great country and a great heritage. And I said this during the debate. I am not. Our country is going to be fine, no matter what the outcome is. Our country is going to be fine, and we will continue to disagree. We'll continue to have these debates. Could there be?
By the way, is not what all of the commercials are saying, and that I think has been what's scary for people. No matter who wins, the country's over.
Well, they're saying this to be scary, and I don't
fear mongering.
Well, frankly, as a nuclear submarine officer and as someone who had been in the chain of command for the release of nuclear weapons, as I did, I'm not really wired that way. I'm actually, pretty cool-headed and very thoughtful because, I'm trying to protect things. I'm not trying to tear things down.
Yeah, we're pretty secure. Our military is pretty strong.
Our military is extraordinarily strong and capable. I think it's been damaged a lot by recruiting is way down because, frankly, the military is being used as a giant social experiment instead of defending our borders. There's a certain kind of person that wants to stand up and serve in law enforcement, serve as a correctional officer, that serve in a firefighter, to serve in our military. And we need to support and encourage those people, not tell them that they're wrong and that their instinct to protect is wrong. And so we've got to change that culture in the military quickly. But we're still the best in the world.
What are you doing today? Tomorrow?
Well, I'm hitting I think three counties today. Talking to media and talking to supporters. We had a rally in Oneida last night in New York Mills, and that was fantastic. Just a great turnout. And so it's really just keeping the volunteers engaged and getting people out to vote. You got to see it all the way through. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow, so people need to, if you haven't voted,
forecast is awesome. Yeah,
absolutely. Don't forget.
I can't remember a day like this.
Freezing yesterday, but
I had 3 other members of Congress in town last night to support me and my reelection, and one of them was from Florida, and she said, "It's so cold," and I said, This is warm.
Yeah, that's right. This is not cold.
By the way,
it's a month or two.
It's like this year round too. I told him that.
Yeah. Brandon Williams, we wish you the best.
Thanks,
Good luck. It's been
Andrew, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's been a long haul. I can't imagine. So, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Congressman Brandon Williams will break and come back at WIBX.